Today's little fun rum experiment takes me down a spiced rum rabbit hole. And I'm asking myself the question, can spiced rum actually make a decent Mai Tai? Let's find out. Hey rum friends, welcome back. And if you're new to this channel, my yellow channel, I haven't quite got a yellow shirt yet, but I'm working on it. Anyway, on this channel, we mainly focus on rum education and fun rum experiments. So if you like the sound of that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But don't forget, I've got 5 other YouTube channels now, all with their own specific niches, cocktails, rum and brandy and all that kind of stuff. So go and check those links out in the description below. Now, when we're talking about rum cocktails, arguably the Mai Tai is the biggest and most famous of them all. Yes, you're probably thinking pina coladas and things like that, the Cuba Libre, and you're probably right. But to true rum fans, even the Mai Tai surpasses the daiquiri. You know, it's all about the Mai Tai. Bartenders, people at home will have their, their thing about their own favourite rum or rum blends that go into a Mai Tai. The Mai Tai is one of those cocktails. It really splits opinions. But rarely, if ever, have I ever seen the Mai Tai made with a spiced rum. Now that really does shock me, because you have to consider that the spiced rum is the biggest, well, it definitely is in the UK, but the biggest market of rum. You could argue that your kind of white rum, your Bacardi, Carta Blanca and all that sort of thing, your cheap white rum is in the lead. But actually, you know, the vast majority, especially in the UK, the British Isles and around Europe, it is all about spiced rums. Certainly here in the UK, you're looking at a good sort of 60 to 70% of the market share is down to spiced and flavoured rums. Now, I know there's going to be some scoffing and some pushback from the rum family. Of course there is. They're going to argue that spiced rum is just way too sweet for a Mai Tai. But that's the beautiful thing about cocktails. You can always adjust the balance of a cocktail. The traditional recipe, and what I kind of go for, you know, you would maybe use 7.5 ml of your orgeat syrup and 7.5 ml of your demerara or cane sugar syrup or something like that. Now, I know a lot of people will go, well, I don't use that. I just use 10 ml of orgeat syrup. But the simple fact is, even if these rums are sweeter, you can always balance adjust. But I've got some mind-blowing little facts for you, some little numbers to shock you. And yes, I have got my little calculator out, and I'm going to have to refer to my notes because I don't remember this off the top of my head. But I've done the maths on this. If you take your typical spiced rum, and so, yes, there's a lot sweeter than this, but if you take your typical spiced rum, which is, I'm going to round up, say 50 grams of sugar per litre. That is a lot. Don't get me wrong. 50 grams of sugar per litre is a lot, especially when Plantation XO, wherever it's gone up there, is 20 grams. You know, you are talking, what was that, 2.5 times the amount of sugar. You think in your head, that's really, really sweet. But actually, when it comes to cocktails, it's not. Because when you break it down, that 50 grams of sugar per litre is only 3 grams of sugar per 60 ml. Now, to make this relatable, so you can comprehend what I'm talking about here, and I'm saying that you can omit your demerara, your cane sugar syrup, if you want it from the Mai Tai, if you use it with spiced rum. To make this relatable, this is my homemade, what I use for all my cocktail masterclasses. It's a 2-to-1 cane sugar syrup. Billingtons, if you're in the UK, that's what I use, that unrefined cane sugar, 2-to-1. This weighs in at 10 grams of sugar per 7.5 ml. So to emphasize that fact, we're talking at roughly 3 grams of sugar per 60 ml to 10 grams of sugar per 7.5 ml. So the chances are, even with some of these spiced rums coming up, and I've got 9 that I know of coming out to play, even with some of these spiced rums that I've omitted the brown sugar from, the demerara sugar from, I might have to add a touch just to kind of balance them out. Now, there's going to be no blind tasting here. Hopefully you guys trust me enough and know me well enough to appreciate that I'm going to give you my open and honest view here. So I'm going to take you through all of these in turn. They are kind of ready to go. I just haven't shaken them yet. They all are ready to go underneath there. So I'm just going to quickly spend a couple of minutes on each rum, starting off with the Krakens. And if you're thinking, why is there 2 Krakens here? It's the US one versus the UK one. But the rest of them, I've got a mix here of globally available to British scratch rum as well. There's a few here that will just be UK available, especially stuff like that. But the rest, you know, the Krakens, the Bumbu, your Don Q, even to a certain extent, the Black Tears is kind of available on worldwide. We've got a cross section here. So first up, we've got the Krakens. And just to clarify, so you're crystal clear in this, pretend I've always got experimental measures here, but pretend I'm making a full size cocktail here. That essentially I've got the equivalent to 60 ml of rum, 15 ml of my Pierre France dry orange curacao, 7.5 ml of orgeat. I've neglected this, so there's none of this in any of these cocktails to start off with. Neglected this. We've got 22.5 ml of lime juice as well. Crushed ice in there, shaken up with my little clever way of doing this. So it's all perfectly proportionate, if you like. I'm going to be brutally honest here. I don't rate the UK Kraken, but the US Kraken that is 7% stronger and not as sweet as the UK Kraken, I do kind of like, actually. I would quite happily drink this. It's still got that lovely sweetness. It is... I do lack the depth of flavour, but I'm telling you, for mass market, that's really tasty. If you're a pub or a bar and you're looking to put Mai Tais on the menus to mass market and you don't have your luxury of your Jamaican rums and maybe St. Lucian rums and all that sort of stuff, honestly, that'll sell. That's pretty good. The Chairman's Reserve next up. Leaps and bounds a bit above that Kraken. That Kraken is nice. It's really good. And I've got mass market brain on now. I've not got rum connoisseur, rum geek brain on. I've got mass market brain on. That is lovely, the Kraken. It's got quite heavy in vanilla up front, but it's a nice cocktail. This, I've got, and I'm filming this now. If you can kind of roughly equate this now, I've done the first 4 or 5 St. Lucian videos at the time that I'm filming this. This has got this lovely, on the Blue Channel, this has got this lovely St. Lucian vibe rum on there, a lighter Mai Tai without that sort of Jamaican robustness going on, but with not overly powered sweetness, not spice, but a lovely rounded spice. That is selling all day long, absolutely all day long. That's really good. And the next up is the Don Q. I prefer that to the Chairman's Reserve. That is... It's a weird thing. Like when I want the Mai Tai, I absolutely adore it with darker rum in there. I love that dark rum. But actually, now that I'm kind of used to the Chairman's Reserve Mai Tais and the bouncy Mai Tais that I've been doing on the Blue Channel, with that lighter style, this is that, because it's obviously column still rum at the base of this. And Dominican Republic, Puerto Rican, sorry, Don Q. You've got that sort of lighter style of rum, but with the flavours and the spice. And I still point out, none of these yet. All I've done is simply detract in a proper spec Mai Tai. I've simply omitted 7.5 ml of the brown sugar, Demerara sugar, if you like. That's really, really good. And I dare say for quite a few of you, you might actually need a touch of sugar, maybe like a bar spoon, like 4 to 5 ml. I like that. Next up is the Goldstone. It's the British scratch rum. Now, to my mind, again, I need to clarify this. I keep forgetting. I do know this, but I keep forgetting. I talk about so many rums. I don't think this is either minimal sugar to no sugar in here. I can't quite remember. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, but nothing even remotely close to anything that's gone before it. So the chances are I might need to add a little bar spoon to this, but let's dive in. So this will be the equivalent on a mass market, on a worldwide level. This will be the equivalent to your Foursquare, which doesn't have any sugar. It's just rum and spice. Wow. That is very different because it's not as sweet. I'm not putting any sugar in that. But now you've got all those layers of the different spices. Actually, for me, because that is less sweet, and because I know the spices that have gone in there, you're going to think I'm being biased here because I do so much with John and Gina. I just love their rums. Look, I'll be honest, they're going to sell all day long. They are. And to a mass market, yeah, I'll be honest, to a mass market, they're probably, because they're slightly sweeter, they're probably going to sell more. But for my own palate and what I would personally prefer, this one, this is really good. Beautifully balanced, little bit of all those spices coming through there. I dare say a few of you are going to want a bar spoon of sugar in that. But that's my own personal favourite. But I would admit that I think probably more of you would go along those lines. So I think it's fair to say that the sugar can go away now. If I didn't need the sugar for the Goldstone, I ain't going to need the sugar for any of the others that are coming out here. So next up, we've got the Rumbullion. But I have got, well, I've got two slightly stronger ones. So actually, the sugar, I might take that back about the sugar because we might need the sugar to balance. This is Rumbullion, Master of Malt's own brand, April 4th, if you like, 42.6. Again, lovely. The only reason it doesn't feature that much of a is because it is made with flavour compounds, if you like, not authentic spices. So, you know, Kraken's never really feature on my channel, apart from the odd sort of explainer video. But these are authentic spices that have gone into making these. So it doesn't feature for that, but it is one of my favourite spiced rums. Or a chocolatey, orangey vibe, sweeter. It's like a complete contrast to the Goldstone because it is sweeter, but you do get that chocolatey, orangey vibe to it. Very different Mai Tai. Very, very different to anything that's gone before it. The Krakens are easily down. You know, I started off saying that I would quite happily drink them, but they're easily down at last place now. We are just getting... I'd actually put that Rumbullion ahead of the Chairman's Reserve in the Don Q, if I'm being brutally honest. I can't put it ahead of the Goldstone because it's very, very different. Oh, that's a tough call for trying to get my head inside you guys' heads. The chocolatey orange vibe might put some of you off, but if you're up for that, this is delicious. Right, next up, we've got the Black Tears. And if you don't know what this is, it's available sort of Europe and places like that. It's just, you know, it's a Cuban brand. Obviously, it's not available in the US. Sorry, I've taken that, you know, got that. But Europe's all right. Now, this is just simply Cuban rum. It has got the old thingy on here somewhere, I think. I'm sure. Oh, I don't know. I'm sure the newer bottles have got the old Cuban seal of guarantee seal on them. I think the newer ones. This is quite old because I don't do much with spiced rums. But essentially, all this is proper Cuban rum spiced up with their pepper, dolce pepper, basically coffee and chocolate, cacao and cacao pod and coffee. That's in there. So 3 spices. Oh, again. So, it's right. This, so this has got that chocolate vibe that I get off there, but because there's little to no sweetness in that, it's a dry spiced rum. It kind of plays in the Goldstone territory. So for some of you, you might want a bar spoon of this in there. For me, that's actually rather delicious. I kind of like that. Very different, again, because of the spices, because of the flavours used. Very different spiced rum. But that is selling. I mean, they're all selling. I cannot imagine a bar in the British Isles. I don't know about around the world, but I cannot imagine a bar in the British Isles where if you put these on the menu and you sold one, they ain't coming back for another one. It's just how it is. They taste pretty damn good. Now, the penultimate one, I'll be honest, right. So bearing in mind, I've kind of made this the same ratios. This is the stronger one. You know, we've the strongest one so far is that at 42.6. This is 54.5. Taxi for me, I should have kind of that's a UK saying. If you know, you know, where the taxi thing. I should have dialed that back. So instead of a 60ml proportion, I kind of should have gone 45ml to give that a true test. But what I am going to do is just a little touch of sugar in there. Bear in mind though, you know, I do kind of do, you know, they're 54.5s, or that is the worthy on there. So yeah, perhaps it's the sugar. Perhaps it's just simply the sugar. Right, let's have a little yeah, the sugar, the extra bit of sugar kills the alcohol essentially, so it makes it more palatable, more smoother. That's or smoother, more smoother. That's not politically correct. Is it smoother? I need to play about with that a bit more. At face value of what I've just done, actually, that's my least favourite. But the flavour profile is just kind of not there for me. It's like too oomph in flavour. And I probably would actually prefer to drink that Kraken, if I'm being honest. Oh, that tastes a bit funny now after drinking all these. Oh no, perhaps not. I take that back. You've got to get in my head here for a minute, because when I do make a Mai Tai like this, is 30 ml of Worthy Park Select and 30 ml of 54.5% there. So what I probably should have done is the equivalent of 45 ml of that instead of 60 ml. Basically, I've done these to 60 ml ratios, if you like. But I'm still not convinced. I'm still not convinced it's the alcohol, it's the flavour. I'm sitting on the fence with that one. I don't know. If you've ever made a Mai Tai with Pussers Gunpowder Proof, let me know what you think. Now, I could not do a spiced rum video with all these spiced rums and not do Bumbu. I know pretty much globally that this is one of the biggest selling spiced rums in the world. Many people don't even realise it's a spiced rum. It is. It even says on the front, flavoured rum. What's the words? Natural flavours. That's what it says on the front of the bottle. So we know, you know, we know it's not rum. It shouldn't be classed in the same likes of any of this on the bottom shelf and any of that there. It shouldn't even be classed there. It's a spiced rum. It lives firmly up in that world up there. Right, Bumbu. It's not terrible. It's got an orangey vibe. It's quite, so for me to compare this, to give you an idea, it goes down that lighter, don't hate me, it goes down that lighter St. Lucian route that I've been used to recently. I'm not saying it's the equivalent and on par with those St. Lucian rums, so the Bounty and Chairman's Reserve. It goes down that route of being a lighter Mai Tai, whereas these are slightly more oomph, if you like. I'd say, genuinely being honest here, super honest, for me, I prefer that over the Kraken. Many of you are going to enjoy that, and if it's an entry, that is definitely an entry Mai Tai. It's still actually a little bit on the sweet side, if I'm being honest. I personally, you know, being brutally honest, again, I'd put the Don Q and the Chairman's above it, but I know that that's good. But I would put that actually, for a lot of you, well ahead of the Rumbullion, well ahead of the Pussers. So, look, to sum up here, can spiced rum make a Mai Tai? Yes, of course it can. If you think it can't, you are deluded. You just have to play around with your recipes. My own personal favourites, you know, what I would personally go for are those two, because they are slightly less sweet, or less sweeter. But Don Q is phenomenal. If you can't get those, then Don Q is and Chairman's Reserve are phenomenal. But mass market, that's, oh no, there's the right way around. Mass market, do you know what? The Bumbu's all right. It is. It's going to sell. Of course it is. And the Kraken's going to sell. I just think you get a better, and when you start going down your rum journey a little bit more, you get a little bit better flavours. So I would start off, if you're used to Bumbu and Kraken, I would start off with one of these Chairman's and Don Q. But then if you can work up to a dry spiced rum, like globally available, something like Foursquare spiced, you know, actually that would make a pretty good Mai Tai, because that for me is what I compare that to.